Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today we're doing a beginner's guide to mixing vocals. We're going to cover the 3 crucial steps to pro level vocals at home. To begin, let me play you the finished vocal as it stands in the final mix, and you can hear the result we're going to be going after here.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack. I can only keep it down so long.
Notice it's clean, it's polished, and it's powerful. It sits out front, it's even, it's not coming in and out. It is your main focus in this chorus is that lead vocal. So let's get into the 3 components we have on this vocal that we used to craft this tone. We'll solo up this vocal and we will get into our first component here, which is, of course, an EQ. We're going to be chasing 2 different concepts using these 3 plugins. We're going to be chasing frequency balance as well as volume balance. You want to get your vocal tonally balanced inside your track, and you want to get it balanced volume-wise so it can sit on top of your mix. The 3 plugins we're going to be doing, the 3 crucial steps, is EQ, compression, and de-essing. The compressor is going to be doing our volume balance, and the de-esser and the EQ, are going to be doing our tone and frequency balance. Step 1 is EQ. We want to get rid of any frequencies that we don't need, that are harsh, muddy, or bothersome inside our mix. In this EQ here, in this case, we have 3 moves that we're making on this vocal. The first one that I usually start off with on all vocals is a high pass filter. Let me play you this vocal inside the mix, and I will A-B this high pass, and you can hear how it cleans up that low end, that excessive low end, and that low end mud around that 200 hertz area. Take a listen.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack. I can only keep it down.
Without this high pass filter in, our vocal sounds a little bit too heavy. It has a little bit too much low end energy, whether it's coming from breaths, proximity effect on the microphone, or just air blasts coming off of his voice as he's singing. It's a pretty powerful chorus line. It's up pretty high. He's pushing out a lot of energy with this vocal. We want to make sure it's focused frequency rise. That's why we're using this high pass filter, to get rid of that excessive low end and to roll off any of that heaviness in that 100 to 200 hertz area on our vocal. Moving on up, we're getting rid of just a little bit of this 3.6K area. It was a little bit harsh in this area, and you'll hear, I'm going to play this vocal for you, and I will boost this frequency range up, and you can hear the area that we are affecting with this move.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack.
So you'll notice there was a little bit of ringing coming through in that frequency range. That's why we're cutting almost just about a dB here. It's a subtle move because there's a lot of energy sitting in that frequency range. But because this is a higher vocal, it's sitting in a higher register, there was a little bit too much there, a little bit too much energy, and it was making the vocal a little bit harsh. So we're pulling out just a dB. This is a subtle move. Let me A-B it for you on the vocal.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find but the longer I wait, the more I'll say.
Moving on up here, we have one more very subtle move in this high frequency area. We're rolling off just a little bit, 5.7K and above. Let me play you what this move sounds like, and I'll boost it up. You can hear the frequency range that we're affecting, that 5.7K and above.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't fight it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack. I can only keep it down.
You could hear when I boosted it up, there was a little bit too much of that crispiness going on above about 5K. So we're just pulling a little bit of it back. We don't want to go too far. We don't want to neuter the high end on his vocal and get rid of that pretty airiness, that nice crispiness that we want to hear on a pro sounding vocal. But there was a little bit too much. We're pulling out just a half dB in this area. So these two high frequency cuts here are kind of working in tandem to smooth out the high end on our vocals. So it's not too crispy and it's not too harsh. Otherwise, that's something that will very quickly turn off a listener for your song, is if your lead vocal is harsh. Moving on up, we're moving on to step 2, which is our compressor here. We are using an 1176 style compressor. This is one of my favorite compressors to use on vocals. I believe I stole this from this technique from Chris Lord-Alge many years ago. He's always one to use an 1176 on his lead vocals, and you can see we're probably going to be doing quite a bit of compression. It might be more than you're used to, but you want to get over the hump of being afraid of using compression. Don't be afraid of a tool like this. It's a useful tool that will even out the volume of your vocal. It'll make it more consistent, more powerful, and it will add character and vintage vibe because it is a vintage style emulation. So we will start without this compressor, and then I will kick it in, and you can hear the power it adds to our vocal, the vibe and the character, and you can hear the energy it imparts by doing this much compression and keeping our vocal even. Take a listen.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't fight it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack.
Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording. Just wanted to quickly interrupt this video to let you know about my brand new vocal mixing masterclass that I just released, where I walk you through 6 different vocal mixes in 6 different styles to show you the techniques and strategies I use to build out pro level vocals. Click the link in the description to get yourself access to this new masterclass, and now back to the rest of the video. You can hear he has a lot of nice energy, a lot of nice character in his voice, and by doing this much compression, especially with this style of compressor, we're emphasizing that. We're bringing out that character in his voice, that little bit of grit as he's pushing through these lines. He's pushing out a lot of nice energy, a lot of nice vibe, and we're using this compression, this compressor, to emphasize that and to bring his performance to the front. So one more time, take a look at how much compression we're doing. We're doing between 7 and 10 dB of compression. We've got our attack set at about 0.5. It's at 0.54 milliseconds, so it's a very fast attack. And our release is all the way up as fast as it can go at 50 milliseconds. These are the settings I love to use on this compressor. So we're at about 0.5 milliseconds for attack, and our release is as fast as it can go, at 50 milliseconds. And now your input and your output are going to be dependent on the vocal that you're using, because this is a fixed threshold compressor. That means it's not a threshold you can move to get more compression. To get more compression or to get less compression, you use your input knob to push more or less of your vocal into the compressor, and then you use your output knob to set your gain so it's even going in and out of the compressor. So let's do one more time. We'll do an A-B, and you can watch the amount of compression, and you can hear as I A-B it, the effects that we're imparting onto this vocal to emphasize his energy, his character, his vibe, and to, of course, even out the volume of our vocal so it consistently stays on top of the mix. We will start with, and then I will pull this compressor out, and you can hear how the vocal changes.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't fight it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack.
I love what this compressor does to vocals. It emphasizes their character. It brings out the performance of the vocalist, which is what you want to do as a mixer. You want to bring out those characteristics, those little things in the performance that make it personal to the singer or the artist. Okay, so that's what we're doing with this compressor. We're evening out the volume. That's our second concept, but we're imparting some character, some vibe, and enhancing the performance of our vocalist. So that's step 2 here. Step 1, we're using our EQ to get rid of any of the frequencies we don't need, smoothing out our vocal, and then we're using our compressor, which is step 2, to even out our volume and to give it that extra sheen, that extra edge on our vocal. Third and final step on our vocal mixing beginner guide here is, of course, a de-esser. So whether or not you need a de-esser, this can always be a fail-safe to put on your vocals to catch any excessive high end that slides through, or to make sure your S's, your T's, P's, any kind of air blasts coming off on the high end don't slide through, they don't get, brittle sounding or harsh to your listener. We'll keep our vocal solid up here, and I will A-B this de-esser, and then we'll break down the settings on it.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't fight it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go.
Now, Studio One doesn't have a dedicated de-esser plugin, so we are using the standard, the stock compressor as a de-esser. All we're doing here is we're using our filter on the side chain to just listen to 4K and above. So that's the only frequency range the compressor is listening to, but we're using it as an overall de-esser. So the whole vocal is being affected by the compression here, but notice it's very fast. We have our attack set at 1 millisecond and our release at 10 milliseconds. So this is a very fast compressor, and we're just listening to 4K and above. So we're just listening to that high-end area where those T's, those S's, those high-end air blasts will pop out or poke out the most. And then we have our ratio, of course, at 20:1 because we're using it in a limiter style fashion or a de-esser style fashion. One more time, I'll play this to you, and you can see the amount of compression we're doing on our vocal to control those S's and those T's so they don't, jump out and take your focus away from the song or the vocal, or get brittle or hurt your ears, anything like that. One more time.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't fight it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack.
All you're looking to achieve with your de-esser plugin is to make those kind of S's, those T's, those high-end frequencies sound more natural and more pleasing to the ear. Sometimes they can sound over-exaggerated, whether it be your microphone or boosts that you do on your EQ or any volume boost coming from your compressor. You want to use your de-esser to make those things sound more natural, like you would hear them in real life when you're talking to somebody, how those S's and those T's, those kind of consonants would come through normally from a human voice. We're not doing a lot. It may seem like a lot, -7 or 7 dB of compression, but again, it's very subtle sounding. It's not something that's excessive and you hear this working on the vocal. It's just there to tuck those S's, those T's in to make them sound more natural and more pleasing to the ear. 3 plugins, 3 steps, EQ to even out our frequency balance on the mix, compression to even out our volume, and then our de-esser to make sure our S's, T's, high-end frequencies don't jump out and take your focus and take you out of the mix. Beginner's Guide to Mixing Vocal here. 3 crucial steps that you want to master when you're mixing vocals if you want to get that pro sound. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Now, before you go, I do want to give you something for sticking with me today. This is my 7-step mixing checklist. You can download it for free using the link below in the description. This resource will guide you through the mixing process step by step so you can get professional, radio-ready mixes without the guesswork and without the hassle. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.